everyone and welcome to my Thursday forecast. Let's take a look at the euro and the US dollar. What I'm seeing right here is I'm seeing a heavy trend to the downside. I'm seeing a large impulse right here, then a few wicks, small pause, then a continuation of the impulse. I'm seeing large candles right here, signaling to me movement to the downside. Then I see the break of the low and retrace, and I see just one candle pullback, and I see a continuation. So this is looking like a really strong trend, and it's looking really great to me. So at the end of this impulse we did get a wick. So what I would now like to see is a flag, but maybe get a small range and then something like this, so to enter on a flag. Or maybe we get an ascending structure to the bullet level, so to here. What can happen, we can just stay ranging between the low and the high, so that is also a possibility. What I would also like to see is a nice big push to downside, then look for a flag. Or maybe we get a push, then a retest of the most recent low. So look to enter on a bullet trade or a break and a retest trade, so same thing. Also what can happen, we can get a push, pull back another push, break and a retest, very high probability, and we are seeing this large trend to a downside, so I'm definitely looking for short trades. But we can also get an impulse to the upside, then look for a flag. We can get this V reversal, then I would look for a small range and a continuation of the second leg, then maybe a flag or a bullet or whatever we can get. Also we can get a push, pull back another push, then break and a retest of the area, so also I would look for this. And the last forecast is that we can get an ascending that breaks the high correctively, then we drop to a downside and look for a flag. Or we can also get a descending from here, and then this would signal to us end of the move to a downside, then get an impulse to the upside, and then I would look also for a flag. So yeah, currently euro and the US dollar is heavily trending to a downside. There was also a trade right here, so let me discuss that also right at this point. So there could have been an order at the most recent low, which was right here on this bullet level, but to me, when I saw this impulse, I saw this large wick and I saw this aggressive retrace, actually a V reversal, so I didn't look for any trades. But if anyone had a pending order right here, then they would be heavily in profit, but to me it didn't fit my plan at all. It was just a really bad trade for me personally, so I stayed out. Now let's move on to the euro and the Japanese yen. This is still heavily range bound, so I'm not looking for any trades in this range. We are just breaking the highs, retracing, breaking the highs, retracing, breaking the lows, retracing, breaking the lows, retracing. So what we are seeing is we are seeing these ascending structures, so like this, into these descending structures, and this is just signaling ranging price action. Since I am a trend trader, I want to stay out of any ranges, so this is definitely a no trade zone for me. What I want to see is I want to see a nice large impulse to downside, look for a flag. Or I would like to see a nice impulse, pull back another impulse, look for a break and a retest trade. Also, I would like to see a descending structure, then impulse to the upside, look for a long trade, since we do know that there are liquidity areas below and above the range, so like this. And when we reach the liquidity areas in a descending or ascending fashion, we know that the market makers are taking out people's stops and retracing the price, so they are very likely to push the price with some nice momentum to the opposite, so in a reverse way. So if you get a descending, then get an impulse to the upside and look for a trade, or same thing to the upside, get a nice ascending that moves into the liquidity area, and then I look for this nice impulse and I look for a flag or maybe a bullet trade, so whatever occurs. That is it for EJ. Now let's take a look at some of the Aussie pairs. So I did place a trade right here. what I was seeing, let me take this back actually, that would be smart. So what I was seeing this nice impulse, but it ended with an absolutely huge wick. So at that point I was like, okay, let me see what happens next. Do we retrace or do we get a continuation? And after the absolutely huge wick, we actually got some pausing candles. We didn't get a shift in momentum. We actually continued to the downside, broke the low, got a nice candle, then continued a little bit more, then got 2 candle impulse without a momentum shift. So there was also no momentum shift right here to me personally. And then I was seeing this nice trend. I was seeing 1 impulse pullback, another impulse, small pullback. Then we broke the low again. And after this candle, I was very ready to place a pending short order at the bullet level. So at the most recent low or at the retest level, whatever you want to call it. So after this candle, I placed a pending short order and I got tagged in and tagged out. It was a 1% loss, but to me it looked very good and it was a very nice trade. It fit my plan 100%. I was seeing a trend to the downside. I was seeing no momentum shift in the pullbacks, really small pullbacks, and then we continued with that momentum. So I was very happy to place a pending short order. Then there was also a trade opportunity right here. So let me take this back. At this point was what I was seeing this. So we broke the low and then we retraced, then we broke the high, and at this point I was looking for a bullet reversal, so something like this, but to me this impulse just wasn't enough. So we know that that is a common pattern. We get, let's say, something like this, then we get a small descending here, then we get an impulse to the upside and opportunity to enter long. That is what I'm forecasting all the time. But to me this impulse just wasn't enough. I wanted to see a bit more of an impulse. I want to see a bit more of a bigger push, because if I look at this impulses, this is really some large momentum, and to me this just isn't enough momentum to the upside in order to be happy to enter on a long trade because of this massive trend to the downside. So I was not happy to place a long order right here. And currently, if someone did enter this trade, they would be in profit, I think. So yeah, but it definitely wasn't for me. It didn't fit my plan, so I didn't take it. What I can forecast now is that we will maybe continue to the upside. Then I would look for a break and a retest. Also, we can get a push, then look for a flag. Or get a push, pull back another push, look for a break and a retest. We can get an ascending from here, signaling to us that the market is ready to move to the downside. And if we get the evidence, look for a short trade. And the same thing to the downside. I would really like to see a nice push to the downside, then break and a retest. So because then that would be a continuation of this massive trend. I would also like to see a push, nice flag. Or a push, pull back another push, break and a retest, so a bullet trade. Also what can happen, we can get a descending structure from here, something like this, then get an impulse to the upside and look for a long trade. That is also a possibility. So yeah, that is it for the Aussie and the US dollar. Had one trade, 1% loss, but it was a very nice trade. I really liked it. So now let's take a look at the Aussie and Japanese yen. I was also in a trade right here, so let me take this back. Okay, so what did we have right here? What I was seeing this was a range mode price action to me, because we saw this descending into an ascending. But what I really liked is that we got this range right here, and I know that there are liquidity areas above and below, so right here. And how did we reach the liquidity area? Well, we had an ascending into the liquidity area, and then we created this huge wick, signaling to me that the stops have been taken out and that the price is ready to push to the downside. We then did see this move to the downside, but it also ended with a huge wick. So after this, we can expect a range. But what we actually got is we got a continuation of this impulse to the downside. We broke the low, closed below, broke again, and got this candle with a large wick. So at this point I was seeing this ascending, I was seeing this range, I was seeing the stops being taken out at this point, and I was seeing a move to a downside, no momentum shift, and the continuation of the move. So I was willing to look for a short trade, but I didn't want to see a V reversal from here, because I know that on the Japanese pairs, if the first 2 or 3 candles are very aggressive, it usually just tends to reverse completely. So what did we then get? Well, we got a nice small pause. Let me just take it back. We got this nice small pause at the end of the impulse. We didn't get a momentum shift, we didn't get an aggressive retrace. We actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles signaling to me a small range. And at this point I was happy to place a pending order at the combo short level, so bullet short level or break and retest level, whatever you want to call it, because I know that a combo trade, which is this, so we get an impulse and then we get first high, first low, and then we get the price to move to the entry point. A combo is a very high probability on this pair. So on the Aussie and the Japanese yen, I really like to take combo trades, and I know that they work out most of the time, especially when I'm seeing this, to me, a high probability setup. So an ascending, taking out people's stops above this range, push, pull back, another push. So at this point I was happy to place a pending short order, and I got tagged in with this candle. To me it didn't matter that it was an aggressive candle, because it was still a combo, and as I said on AJ, I really like to take combos, especially when I'm seeing price action that I like prior. So then the price actually stopped me out, so this was also a 1% loss, but it did fit my plan. I liked the trade, I liked the taking out of stops right here, and I liked that we moved to a downside, got really no momentum shift right here, and continued with the downside movement. So it's a 1% loss, but it fit my plan, so it was a good trade. And what I can now forecast is that we will continue maybe in this range, something like this, since we are getting sort of a V here, and well, this is range bound price action. We had a descending into an ascending into, let's say, another descending, so I can expect more ranging price action. And what I would like to see, especially since we broke the low, retraced, left a large wick, broke the high, retraced, left a large wick, what I would like to see is a nice big push to the downside, look for a flag, or a nice big push, pull back, another push, look for a break and a retest. Same thing to the upside, a nice big push, pull back and a flag, or a nice big push, break and a retest. Definitely I would be interested. Or we can get an ascending from here, push to a downside, look for a flag, or maybe a break and a retest, or a descending from here, look for an impulse to the upside and a flag, or a bullet trade, so a break and a retest. And what I need to keep in mind is, if we do get more ranging price action, if we do get something like this, then there are liquidity areas, as I said, below and above. So I need to be careful what happens. Do we just break into the liquidity area and retrace straight away? Or do we get some conviction and then get a flag, nice continuation pattern? It all depends on what happens. But I need to keep in mind the liquidity areas, because they are very important when I see a range. So yeah, that is it for the forecast, and I will see you in the next one.